Well, I was born up in Grafton in northern New South Wales, and my father worked on the main roads department, and my family all were born up there. And then in the 1950s, I joined the military. We trained and that, and then we went off to Vietnam on our first trip to Vietnam. Then we came home and we got ready to go back the second time. In 1969, it was early in April. In April was. We'd been up north. We come back, we rehashed, and we went back out into the field. And that we went down towards Long Green, I think it was, and we were going sweeping through the area, clearing the areas, and we came across a bunker system where the enemy had been or dug in there, and that, and we went into a defensive position, and I went forward to check this place out. And when I was moving forward, we tripped a mine. I tripped a mine and it blew my leg off and that. And when the people came to come to first aid me and that, I deployed them elsewhere and that because there's other mines and that, and also there may have been people in the bunker system and that, until we checked that all out, and then I was helicoptered out and went to hospital. When you train all the time, that's how it is done. And also, if you're the leader of the push, if you go down, if things don't work properly, you will all go down, you will all end up dead. Your job is to organise people, not to fight the war, but organise it. If the boss is up there bayoneting people and shooting people, it gets very, very dangerous. And that your job, if you're an NCO or an officer, your job is to lead, not to get out in front. You organise other people, and that's what you've got to do. Yeah. You're no good to them dead. Yeah. You're no good to them dead. You've got to do those things. There are some things you've got to do that are not too good, but that's it. It's a fact of life. Said life's a death sentence, numerous reprieves, make the best of it. It was quite good. We all enjoyed the time we were there, even though that the theory of what the military and that teach you and the real thing, and that is a lot of difference, because in the theory no one kills you unless they stab you with a biro or something like that, where the other people and that'll shoot you, and you learn to do that. And a big thing that you learnt was you learnt how to live and work with one another. Because there was none of these new little things where they all live off base and all those sorts of things. You lived in buildings, there might be, say, anything from 6 to 40 people in the one building, and therefore you had to learn to be able to live together and all that and get on together. And it was awesome, it was. And of course we were very, very lucky in those times, right up until about the end of the Vietnam War, that we had a lot of these old blokes who were around who'd been in the Second World War and in Korea and all those things. And some of them may not have been academically brilliant, but they knew all about soldiering, they knew all about the tricks of the trade and all those old skills about fighting in the jungles and how to organise people, how to get things done and all that business, where nowadays they seem to be all academic soldiers, and that's a sad fact of life. People forget that soldiers' job, they come out with all these silly ideas and that, but soldiers' jobs, especially the infantry soldiers and that, is to kill people, and kill people most violently. And that's what it all is. It's organised violence. And that, a lot of people don't agree with it and that. And I said, well, they've never been at the pointy end of things, I can assure you that. You can just imagine some of the things that people have been involved with in that, it's awesome, frightening. And that's why I think when veterans get together at these reunions and that, they always welcome one another as like the long-lost prodigal sons and that, and they get there and talk about things and that which ordinary people wouldn't understand, And I think that is the trouble with the Western world today, especially, because none of our politicians have ever been to a war, but they're good enough to send other people's children to war, So if they don't understand it, or they don't want to understand it, it looks good. Look at me, what I've done. they probably look after them a bit better than those days when we got in it. Although we probably looked after one another better than they did because we all stuck together. Because no matter what happens to you, you know, in your treatment thing, you've got to still interact with people on the outside. You know, you've got to go and interact with people outside and that. You just can't stay in one little area and all that, even though it's good to go and meet them blokes and talk to them, but you've got to have an outlet somewhere else and that, and do those things, you know. Go out amongst people in that and do things in that, and travel. That's a big thing. Go and travel. I always say to young people, travel and see the rest of the world. And you think you've got problems, there's a lot of other problems worse than us, I can tell you.